Hi! Welcome to an adventure. I hope that you're all doing well today. I hope that you can hear me and that the sound quality is better today than it has been the past 2 weeks. I really, really, really hope that that's the case. I have a completely different microphone. I've stripped out almost all of the microphone modifications. I left in the noise gate noise suppression so you don't get ambient room noise. But otherwise, most everything else is gone. So we're running the blue snowball today. And I'm glad to hear that it is much better. Let me know if music balance... Let me know if things go wonky, because I do want to keep an eye on that. But I'm glad to hear that this seems to have addressed that issue. Let me see who's here. Clear, loud, and free of crackles. That is good to know. Let's see. Lord Portico, hello and welcome. It is great to see you. Pretty Witchery, I'm not here, but remember we love you too. Thank you. Hi, Nathaniel. Hannah, Neogats. Everybody, is great to have you joining today. I'm glad you are here. Welcome to an adventure. Today is Wednesday, which means it's time for Archival Adventures, the once-a-week show that I do on both my channel and the library's channel. So my channel being twitch.tv/Rogan27, the library's channel being twitch.tv/VTUL Studios. We're live on both right now. And yeah, we are going to share some things from the archives. Sorry, my brain quit there for a second. I am working on trying to sort of merge the two. Twitch has their I don't remember what it's called right now. It was Co-Star at one point, but anyway, where you can join another channel as a guest, and I'm trying to figure out the logistics, because I think that will ultimately be easier for running it on both channels, and might be able to ultimately combine the chat together, which would be lovely. So I've got an eye out towards that, but I had to fix the audio. Anyway, I am Rogan27. I'm also Anthony Wright de Hernandez Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, and this is the show where we look at archives. This week for you, I have three collections from our International Archive of Women in Architecture. These are three collections featuring African-American women archivists, or not archivists, architects. So yeah, we're gonna see what we can learn. They're pretty small collections, but I think there's enough content for 2 hours for us. And I'm curious to see what's there and to learn about these pioneering architects. But first, since we're looking at history, it's good to pay attention to the history of where I am and where this is being broadcast from. When have we ever not had enough stuff to look at? Exactly! Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities. Through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tutelo and Monacan peoples and other Native nations, we commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations, owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. We acknowledge that enslaved black people generated wealth that financed the predecessor institution to Virginia Tech, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on construction of its building. Not until 1953, however, was the first black student permitted to enroll. Through inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to prosim, that I may serve, in the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. Just like to keep that in mind as we look at historical stuffs. So, as I mentioned today, I've got 3 collections from the International Archive of Women in Architecture, small collections, and partly because this is the week that includes Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we decided to just see what we had for African American women architects. And sadly, we don't have a ton. If you know an African American woman architect, or are an African American woman architect, we want your stuff. We would love to add it to the archives. But we do have some. And so these are all of the women who are in the small collections. This should be the finding aid that is linked in the there. And as you can see, the note there only lists Amasa Lee Meredith and Norma Sklaric. Sterling, yeah, I brought in my blue snowball from home and really didn't do too much with it. I tested a few times. But yeah, something was up with the Rode microphones, the lapel mics that I was using. And so this week I'm trying it with the USB mic instead of one that needed to go through. I was going through an Atom Mini, Blackmagic Design Atom Mini before, and I don't know, maybe there was something about routing it through there that wasn't working properly. Maybe some of the settings on that got messed up, but I'm glad to hear that it's better. So we've got 3, like I said, Amasa Lee Meredith. So I'm gonna look through here and see if I can find the little entry on her. Yeah, lots of scrolling. I could do Control F, but we'll get there. They're in alphabetical order, thankfully. Okay, let's see. Because I like to start out with a little bit, like, there should be a biographical sketch in here. Meredith, Amasa Lee. So, as you can see, it's 0.1 cubic feet, which is just what we enter when it's a single folder. Dated 1994. Nathaniel, I will get to her in a moment, but her name is Sharon Sutton. And it's because we had found the 2, and then at the end of last week, I was having a quick little chat with our archivist who works primarily with the International Archive of Women in Architecture, and mentioned what the topic was, and she pointed me to the 3rd one. So, Amasa Lee Meredith, 1895 to 1984, African-American architect in Virginia, professor of art at Virginia State University, which Virginia State University is the counterpart to Virginia Tech. They are both land grant institutions. Virginia State, though, was the historically black college and university. It's a HBCU. Virginia Tech was for white students, and Virginia State was for black students. Materials consist of a November 1994 article written for Inform about Meredith's life and work, particularly about her design of her home in Petersburg, Virginia. The second one was Norma Sklaric. So let me just get down to Norma Sklaric. The materials are 1987 and undated. Born 1928, architect of Los Angeles, California, and the first African-American woman to become a licensed architect in New York in 1954, and California, 1962. And a fellow of the American Institute of Architects, principal of the Jerde Partnership in Los Angeles, Jerde, I'm not certain exactly how that is pronounced, and director of the Los Angeles chapter of the AIA, which I believe is the American Institute of Architects. Materials include a curriculum vitae, a reprint of an article, Designing Women, from the California Executive, November 1987, and photographs of and information about several of her designs in California. And then the third one that I also, I have to find it, but I have a link to a video about Ameza, but the video is not actually part of our collections, but I thought, since we're learning about the topic of what we have collections on, it might be worth watching. So Sharon Sutton, artwork. 1975 to 79 and 1999. This collection is a set of 3 5.5-inch by 10.5-inch Sutton prints, a one-page biography, and Sutton's resume from 1999. Inventory available also has materials on ImageBase, so I don't know if these links are going to work. Ooh, inventory available. Biographical sketch, curriculum vitae, Mountain of a Midwinter's Moon, Mountain of a Winter's Moon, and View to a Winter Sky. Is there a bio note? There is! There's a biographical note! Oh, Nathaniel! Congratulations on being selected as the VIP for this stream. Enjoy your diamond next to your name. Sharon Sutton. As a professor of architecture and urban design and planning at the University of Washington, Sharon E. Sutton taught community-based research studios and evaluated the relationship and youth, culture, and evaluated the relationship and youth, culture, and the environment. That sentence does not completely make sense to me. I'm uncertain what they were meaning to say. Taught community-based research studios and evaluated youth, culture, and the environment. I'm uncertain. Maybe we'll find out. That's not very grammar. She is, or was, the director of CEED, the Center for Environment, Education, and Design Studies, and was funded by the Aspen Institute to investigate how race affects community development. Since 1975, Sutton taught at various universities, including the Pratt Institute, Columbia University, and the University of Michigan, where she became the first African-American woman to become a full professor in an accredited architectural degree program. While at the University of Michigan, Sutton established the Urban Network, which is the basis for Sutton's latest book, Weaving a Tapestry of Resistance: The Places, Power, and Poetry of a Sustainable Society. And yeah, these people marking firsts on behalf of African American women were active in the 1970s. So, also there's the image-based link in here, which points to Sharon Sutton's stuff. I have the physical items, and now I realize I have used her stuff before. Oh, wow. I think we looked at some of her stuff on it was I think it was end of 2022. I did a winter themed stream and we looked at Mountain of a Midwinter's Moon, I believe. Um but yeah, so you can take a look at the art there via the link if you want. Before your time, yeah. But I say we take a look, we find out, or I could find the I could find the video about Ameza. I just have to remember how it was sent to me. This is fine. We'll get there. We'll get there. I just might have to log into thing. It would be fun to get her on the show. Simsilica, hi. To get who on the show? I'm not opposed to getting people on the show. Sutton? That would be amazing. We have a variety of communication channels now here. We're in the transition between using exclusively Google products and we are being moved to Microsoft Office ecosystem. I do not remember where I got the message that pointed me toward the video about Ameza Lee Meredith. So I may not find it. Is it? No. But I might also just be able to find it real quick. I may have found something. I may not have, though. Well, I will poke around for it during the period of time when our automated systems force an ad break. Until then, let's look at materials. And Simsilica, I note that you were talking about getting Sutton on, and I do think that that would be amazing. I don't know the likelihood of it, but I can explore the possibility. She's at the University of Washington, which is where my master's degree is from. So I could reach out to the people there and see yeah, I don't know. All right, so this is the entirety of this archival record that we have for Ameza Lee Meredith. It doesn't seem like a ton. I know that we would love to have more, but I also know that Virginia State University has some archives about this person. I'm curious to see what the reason for this page is. Because this is clearly a single page from a magazine that's been photocopied. And it starts in the middle of a sentence, which I just think is odd. But this paragraph here talks about Meredith. Meredith resided at Azurist South, summering in Sag Harbor from 1919 until her death in 1984. Her will left half of the property to the Virginia State University National Alumni Association, which purchased the remaining interest after Edna Colson's death in 1986. Azurist South is now used for functions held by the association. And there's an image here. Living room is anchored by Art Deco fireplace. I assume, but I don't actually know, that this living room picture is about Meredith. Wait. Oh! It's the second half of a 2-page article. Aha! I have found my problem. The pages were out of order, and I encountered them not in a great order. We have a short little bio. Amasa Lee Meredith, 1895 to 1984, born Lynchburg, Virginia. Received certificate from the Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute, which is now Virginia State University. As I said, this is Virginia Tech's counterpart in the state of Virginia. There were 2 land grant institutions, technically still are. Virginia Agricultural and Mechanical College. It was the name of Virginia Tech when it was founded. And Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute was the name of Virginia State University when it was founded. VAMC, Virginia Agricultural and Mechanical College, was for white students, and Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute was for black students. And the 2 have grown, and they're both open to anybody now. But historically, Virginia State University was the land grant institution for black students in Virginia. VT acknowledges bonus! Thanks, Lord Portico. Attended Teachers College, Columbia University, New York. A lot of normal schools, if you ever see schools with the name that are called normal schools, a lot of those were teachers' colleges, which were primarily aimed at women's education. Because women attended normal school. A lot of normal schools over time became part of state college networks. So if you look into the history of like some regional state colleges, you'll find that a lot of them were normal schools, and what that meant was that they were a teacher's college, where women went to learn how to teach. So she attended Teachers College, Columbia University, New York, where in 1930 she received her bachelor's degree in art. She returned to Columbia during summers and completed her master's degree in 1935. Taught art at Virginia State until her retirement in 1958. Among her projects is one of the few international-style houses in Virginia. A house of concrete block, glass block, flat roof, and rounded corners was built in Petersburg, Virginia in 1939. Now owned by the Virginia State Alumni Association and has been restored. Okay. It's on the state and national registers of historic places. It is known that Ms. Meredith designed several other houses, including one in Texas and several in Virginia. Okay. I believe this article is specifically about this house. I'm also curious. We can find some resources online, and like I said, there's a video. I just have to find... Somebody sent me the link. Jade Snelling, the archivist who works with International Archive of Women in Architecture stuff. She's like our primary archivist for this material. Sent me the link, and I just haven't figured out where she sent it. I know I saw it, but that was on Friday. But let's learn a little bit about this house. Um, and so this is a very small folder. I'm not 100% certain how this came about as its own collection, because it seems like an odd thing to have as its own collection. It's since been aggregated with others of the small collections into a collection of small collections. But for instructional purposes, in our architecture college, it's useful. The question that what I wonder about is, like, specifically who gathered it, what was the source, that sort of thing. Is the camera gonna zoom? Don't think it is. I'm gonna try and reload the browser remote. It does not want to do. I'd love to zoom in. We'll see if it works. I got the audio fixed, but now the camera wants to fight me. So, I'm curious, do any of you have particular knowledge in the area of, like, archives or African American history, or had you heard of these people before? It sounded like maybe some silica you knew about Sutton. I would love to know. This is by Mary Harding Sadler, Out of the Mainstream and Into History. Amazingly, Meredith was, in every sense, an anomaly in the mid-1930s. This black female architect, artist, and teacher designed an international-style house adjacent to the campus of Virginia State University. So, what does that mean? What is the international style in architecture? I'm looking up a definition because, oh boy, it's been a long time since I was an art history major for a very brief period of time. The international style, or internationalism, is a major architectural style that was developed in the 1920s and 1930s. Was closely related to modernism and modernist architecture. It was first defined by Museum of Modern Art curators Henry Russell Hitchcock and Philip Johnson in 1932. The terms rationalist architecture and modern movement are often used interchangeably with international style. It is defined by the Getty Research Institute as the style of architecture that emerged in the Netherlands, France, and Germany after World War I and spread throughout the world, becoming the dominant architectural style until the 1970s. Style is characterized by an emphasis on volume over mass, the use of lightweight, mass-produced industrial materials, rejection of all ornament and color, repetitive modular forms, and the use of flat surfaces, typically alternating with areas of glass. Okay. Her home, which she named Azurist South, sits now in quiet obscurity. I love that it can be in the middle of just, like, a random neighborhood, but if it was an architect's home, it has a name. And I love this, and I've seen it before, and I just think it's spectacular. Like, I've never lived in a home that had a name. And I love that she named it Azurist South. But for the single-minded efforts of university archivist, woohoo! Shout out to the archivist, Lucius Edwards. The house and its lush grounds would have remained unrecognized and unprotected. With the help of Edwards' research and his preservation of significant documents, Azurist South was listed on the Virginia Landmarks Register late last year. When was this written? 1994. So it was listed in 93. Um, and on the National Register of Historic Places in early 94. Architectural historian Richard Guy Wilson judged the house to be one of the most advanced residential designs in the state in its day. It is indeed one of the Commonwealth's few mature examples of international style and a landmark of African American material culture. And then we're going to get a bio. I'm also going to look real quick here. Virginia State University Special Collections and Archives. Ooh, so tiny on that screen. Yeah, I'll do fine. I'm trying to get you all a link to the VSU material about Ameza in case you want it. Ooh, good. They're on archival resources of the Virginias as well. Wow. It has, they have almost 5,000 pieces of archival material up in the Ameza Lee Meredith papers. I'm just going to drop a link to their finding aid about her stuff in the chat here in case you care to visit and see what they have about Meredith in the Virginia State University archives. Cool. Ameza Lee Meredith was born in Lynchburg, Virginia on August 14, 1895, the eldest child of Samuel Meredith, a respected carpenter, and Emma Kennedy. Because her father was white and her mother black, Ameza's parents could not be legally married in Virginia. The two traveled to Washington, D.C. in racially segregated railroad cars to tie the knot. But Samuel Meredith lost much of his business as a result of the controversial marriage, and took his life in 1915. Despite this family tragedy, Ameza Meredith graduated from high school the same year at the top of her class and enrolled in the Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute near Petersburg, which was later to become Virginia State University. There she met Dr. Edna Meade Colson, the daughter of James Major Colson III, one of the Institute's founding faculty members. Edna Colson would go on to become Dean of the School of Education and in time became Ameza Meredith's lifelong companion. After college, Meredith taught in Botetourt County and then moved to Brooklyn in 1929 and enrolled in Teachers College, Columbia, majored in fine art, bachelor's degree with honors in 1930 and a master's in 34, and then went back to Virginia State to teach. She was in her 40s when she began to design Azurist South, which I will find pictures of, and we'll look at some pictures of Azurist South. Nathaniel, companion? Are we meaning this in the historical sense? There is the possibility that they were a couple. However, there's not, as far as I know, any affirmative statement of such by them, which is, I think, why the careful usage of the word companion shows up in the descriptions. Let me check this other bio and just see. mentions. So, the only mention in VSU's biographical sketch of her is that joint ownership of Azurist South was held with Miss Edna Colson, another retired faculty member of VSU. And in '85, the Alumni Association purchased the Colson half of the house, securing the ownership of the house to the university. This is not uncommon. There's the hint that possibly there was a relationship, but also it's just possible that they just lived together and jointly owned a house. We don't have the documentation to confirm either way, which is why you'll find descriptions, biographical notes that approach it by just saying lifelong companion, because that's the best that we know. We know that they lived together. We know that they owned things jointly, but beyond that, we don't know. They might not have defined themselves in such terms, possibly due to discrimination. Right, it's likely that we will never know for sure. And indeed, neither our finding aid nor the VSU finding aid even include the tag LGBTQ. I don't think we would be out of line to put it on there, but then we would need to include in the note something explaining that it's there to help find it, but that we don't know. Wiki just states that there when amazingly Meredith met her future companion, Dr. Edna Mead Colson, with whom she held correspondence during her entire vocational education and later moved in with their shared home, Azurist South. Although it is not quite clear, and not very likely given the time they lived in, whether they lived as an openly homosexual couple, it is safe to say their relationship was committed and loving. I am curious to see what their citation is there, but I'm not surprised by that characterization. Honorary members of the Guildfield. That might be a clue. What is the Guildfield? Now I'm curious. An interesting lens to examine it through. Yeah, they lived together until Meredith died. Jacqueline Taylor, Amaza's Azurist, Modern Architecture and the New Negro Woman, Suffragette City, Women in Politics. Okay, yeah, so probably fairly reliable source there. I love that we came across this, because this is actually a point of contention, honestly, within the profession, as to how to approach situations just like this, where it's like, yeah, from our perspective, it very much looks like they were a couple, but did they ever call themselves that? And is it feel fair? Oh, Guildfield Baptist Church, got it. Is it fair to characterize them that way when they never seemed to do so themselves in life? Which the best solution I can think of, or that a lot of times has come up, is to mark it with a tag so that it's searchable by people looking for LGBTQ plus topics, and to have a note saying that tag was included because this might be of interest to people doing research on LGBTQ plus topics. To not say they were in a relationship, other than to say, you know, they were lifelong companions, they lived together, they jointly owned property, they genuinely seemed fond of each other. But we don't know if they were in a homosexual relationship. We tag it as LGBTQ+, because people researching that area might find interest in this collection. And that's sort of where we leave it. We leave it up to the people doing historical research to figure out what does the documentation support. A Boston marriage. Yes, that is definitely a term for, but we don't know how they define themselves and won't know for sure. Exactly, because we can't go back in time. And unless we find documents where they define themselves that way, we don't have confirmation. And so we don't want to claim it as fact when we can't verify it. We can have documentation that makes it seem like this is probably the case, but again, at the time, it's also quite possible that even if they did hold that sort of relationship with one another, they never would have characterized it as a relationship. Just because that was not necessarily what was done. Yeah, still an interesting bit of information to stumble into. Yeah. I would be curious to know what sort of, whether there's anything in the papers at Virginia State that points to them having, or that characterizes their relationship in any way. It looks like there's some personal papers, personal correspondence and such. But I would also kind of think that if that was in there, they would have it noted in the biographical sketch. So I don't know. And that's kind of the best answer I've got. It's definitely intriguing and worth more to explore. And also, if it, like, she was already pioneering enough. Her parents had to travel out of the state to get married, and it hurt her father's business because he married a black woman, and interracial marriages were not a thing in Virginia. And yet, despite the massive amounts of discrimination she had to have been facing, she graduated top of her class, became a pioneer in architecture, not a welcoming industry for women. And on top of that, lived within jointly shared property, possibly having a Boston marriage with another woman, like just pioneering across the board. All right, she was in her 40s when she began the design of Azurist South. Though her plans and axonometric designs were clearly not rendered by an experienced hand, they carefully delineate both architectural treatments and construction details. Roof drains and a wall section are shown with the same precision as the steel pipe railings that define the edge of a roof terrace. Completed in 1939, Azurist South is typified by the white stucco, flat roof, and sleek lines that came to be associated with the idea of a machine for living, a house devoid of applied ornament and free of historic references. The exterior is dominated by the bedroom wing, whose curved corners feature horizontal ribbon windows of glass block. There's layers to everything, and some will stay undiscovered. Exactly. Whereas the exterior of the house is limited in its selection of materials and colors, the interior is vividly patterned with ceramic composition and vinyl tiles applied freely to the walls, floors, and ceilings. Cleverly placed windows, bands of glass block, concealed lighting, and mirrors dramatically enlarge the apparent size of this modest space. I'm going to see if I can get you all some images while I continue to read this. And unsurprisingly, there's an entire site about Azurist South, considering it is on the Register of Historic Places. This doesn't surprise me. All right, this is the house. This is Azurist South. One of the most important works designed by Ameza Lee Meredith. Our Machine for Living. I remember reading that in an art book on the works of Roger Dean. Yeah. The idea that it should be functional. Function over form. I prefer form over function. I prefer functional things that are formed well, let's say. Um, it's a very what's interesting is in looking at this building, the first thing that springs to my mind is not house. I see this building, and the first thing that springs to my mind is gas station. Which probably says more about the design aesthetic that was used for gas stations than it does for this house particularly, but that's what comes to my mind. Cleverly placed windows, bands of glass block, concealed lighting and mirrors, drama. Oh, I did that. Kitchen counters are decorated with bright green, pink, red, and black mosaic tiles set in unexpected patterns. The bathroom's bright yellow fixtures are complemented by green. I think we need to look at the interior. You went gas station and I went car repair shop. Yeah, it definitely has a sort of aesthetic that we're used to from, I'd say, from movies and television, and also from video games. This structure, this design and this structure would have been an auto shop or a gas station. Oh, and there's probably the video that I was being pointed to. Ooh. Oh, come on. I want to... I had hoped to open the image in another tab, but I'll just zoom in. There is the kitchen counter, as was just described. He was opposed to homes as machines for living and built a house that was in opposition to it, referred to as or described as a green lung. So there's definitely different architectural responses to that idea of machines for living. Yeah. Kitchen counters are decorated with bright green, pink, red, and black mosaic tiles set in unexpected patterns. The bathroom's bright yellow fixtures. Do I have pictures of the bathroom? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. Well, possibly we will see the bathroom in the video. I don't know. Bathroom's bright yellow fixtures are complemented by green, yellow, and black finishes. The spacious living room, understated in comparison, is dominated by an Art Deco fireplace composed of a thick, curving mantel, shelf, and massive curved pedestals. A curtain slot in the ceiling allowed the end of the room to be used as a dining area. So this is the dining room, which I guess apparently you could pull a curtain across to cut it off and make it its own room. Sounds interesting to me. Oh, self-care. I will drink some water and do a stretch. I honestly have no idea how long. And there will be some random... Yeah. At some point, there will be an automatic ad that plays on one of the channels for sure. Let's see. A small vestibule off the living room leads to the bedrooms, one of which preserves the massive Victorian bed in which Meredith was born. In her time, Amaza Lee Meredith was one of only a handful of black architects in practice. According to the 1910 U.S. Census, only 59 black people were active as architects and another 47 as draftspersons. Hampton University, founded in 1868 to train freed slaves, did not establish its architecture program until 1940. Though Meredith was never a registered architect, she designed for friends and family in Virginia, Texas, and Sag Harbor, New York, where she and others developed a vacation enclave they named Azurist North. Meredith attended... I wondered about Azurist North. attended Columbia at a time of great vitality and change in American architecture when figures like Marcel Breuer and Walter Gropius were everyday topics of conversation. In Virginia, however, the colonial revival still held sway over public and private architecture, even at Virginia State, which was expanded during the design and construction of Azurist. In light of the overwhelming dominance of traditional architecture in Virginia, Meredith's achievement is all the more remarkable. Cool. So, let's see if I can just get this video to play for y'all. It should work. Let me pause the music real quick. Possibly. Oh, I said pause. I pushed pause and it started playing an entirely new song. Hold please 1 moment. Let me... I wish to capture the YouTube video, please. Is it not? Okay, you know, whatever. Why it doesn't want to capture it while it's in full screen, I don't know. But, okay, computer, stop. I wanted to just go... All right. This will be fine. As long as you all can see and hear it. The question is going to be whether you'll be able to hear it. But we'll give it a try. Nice. I will drop the link for that in just a second. Um, we still didn't get to see inside, but oh, nope, stop. Um, Let me copy this and get you all the link somehow. I just realized less than easy given my current setup. Ooh, I could do this way. Uh, that is the website where the video lives. So if you want to find that video for yourself, it is on that site, savingplaces.org. Um, Curious, there's a Wikipedia article. I'm just gonna look and see if maybe we can get some more images, because I'm curious. Like the article talked about interior, and I'd be really interested to know. No. Resource name: Azurist South, National Register of Historic Places. They also said her partner. They did, which sounds to me like they must have some research that led them to use that language. I want in Virginia, please. This one. Oh. Well, the National Register, it has not yet been digitized. Let's try the Virginia Register of Historic Places. Check the article I linked just a bit ago. It has a few more images. I shall. Um, ah, okay. I think this is actually where I got the image that I used for the promotional graphic. Oh, and there goes the automated ad. So non-subscribers on the Rogan 27 channel will have ads for about 3 minutes. So I'm gonna continue. I just ooh, there's a podcast episode. Yeah, there's some good information about her. Oh, and another picture of her. Oh no, that's Edna Colson. That is her companion. Abstract painting. Ooh. Is it the it is the blueprint for Azurist. Once the ads finish, I'll cover most of this again. But Hannah, thank you for gifting a sub to Nathaniel. Grand terrace, garage, kitchen, studio, living room. The dining area? I'm trying to find, but so far I don't. See, kitchen, utility room, bathroom. bedrooms. I guess the dining area. It's supposed to be like a curtained area that you, but I'm not certain. Oh, the faint line here is the curtain. I wondered about that, but that would make sense. Almost. I mean, it does make sense just because then you've got the window, but it also doesn't make sense because the kitchen's way over here and you have to go all the way across the living room to get to the dining area. This is a terrace here with the grid pattern. Architecture studio. That's really neat. And the ads have finished. So welcome back to anybody who was um, uh, watching and yeah, there are ads no matter what I can do, and so having them play once for 3 minutes just sort of confines them all. But so Hannah found this and dropped the link in chat earlier. It's an article online about Amaza Meredith, um, and it included there's the blueprint for Azurist South, which is what we were just looking at. Ooh, look at that! It's so pretty. It didn't say the curtain attached by the kitchen. That's true. It was just to eat in peace. Yeah, yeah. I was just like, I expected the dining area to be next to the kitchen, which would make sense, but also apparently not. Um, that was totally my assumption. We've got the living room and the kitchen, and it looks like layout of stuff to be in them. The living room, the north interior elevation, the living room is dominated by a mirror, it looks like. Kitchen, got the layout of the cabinets. Interesting studio, bathroom. Iron deck stairs. Parapet. I love I love these. This is gorgeous. The perspective drawings here of Azurist. Even if like this one's not perfect, it's still gorgeous. It's got keys all along the notes for colors too. Yeah. Well, and like in the kitchen, she designed the tile to go on the counters and stuff. So yeah, it's really, really neat. Pale green, pale gray. Close up here of the south entrance. Guest on sun deck. Ooh. That's the living room. There's that mirror above a fireplace. Oh, that's really cool. Seat before the fire. I do like this aesthetic. Like it's got a bit of a feel of like deco to it. Highly annotated. Clearly had a lot of ideas, yeah. This would be the bathroom. Not the colors I would have chosen, but it has a decision was made. And if that decision satisfied the people living there, that's all that matters. Um, I'm not sure I would have gone with that yellow myself. I do like the green. But yeah, the black and yellow and the green together, this is what was described as the bathroom. So yeah, there's that article. You're welcome to explore further. Um, mm, Reminds me of the art piece Bauhaus with the blocks of colors outlined in thick black lines. That, yeah, it does sort of have that aesthetic to it. Um, we have two other folders. One photocopied magazine article, um, and we've spent more than an hour on it because this is an awesome person to learn about. I'm very very happy. Plenty of content for 2 hours. Exactly. Um, but I should let's move on and look at some Norma Sklarek. Um, Hi, Concilians. I wonder what would happen if you tried to colorize the photo. I don't know. It was in sepia tone. I don't know if that gives the colorization process any additional information. Um, Norma Sklarek. Let's see, we've got the California Executive. Designing Women. Siegel, Sklarek, and Diamond are bridging the architectural gender gap. Looks like there's a magazine article. We got biographical. Yeah. I'm gonna start with this. Probably be a bit harder because of the sepia tone. I don't know. Norma Merrick Sklarek, FAIA, um, fellowship, a fellow of the American Institute of Architects. Overcoming the double hurdle of being black as well as female, Norma Sklarek received her education at Barnard College and Columbia University's School of Architecture. She was the first black woman to become a licensed architect in New York, in California, and in the United States, and the first black woman to be honored by fellowship in the American Institute of Architects. Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill in New York City, then Gruen Associates and Welton Beckett Associates in Los Angeles, gave her the opportunity not merely to work on major, complex, significant building projects, gaining experience with sophisticated engineering systems, but to advance to highly uh, highly responsible positions within those firms. Sorry, I lost the place. As director of architecture at the Gruen office, she headed its large architectural department and was responsible for all of the technical documents on a long list of commercial projects located throughout the US and encompassing technological conditions from frigid Minnesota to semi-tropical seismic California. Projects to her credit include the Oakdale Shopping Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been there. Park Center Commercial Complex in San Jose, California. Fox Plaza. Um, Copyright photo number 8 degrees? I'm not certain what that's all about. Fox Plaza, a mixed-use high-rise building of offices, stores, and apartments in San Francisco, California. San Bernardino City Hall, California. The U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, Japan. After leaving the Gruen firm, Norma Sklarek joined Welton Beckett Associates as a vice president, where she was project director of a new terminal serving 10 million annual passengers at Los Angeles International Airport. Like many other women in architecture, Norma Sklarek has been able to balance a full family life with very active architectural pursuits outside of her office practice. She has done professional renderings in tempera, taught for a number of years on the graduate architectural staff of UCLA, and has been a guest lecturer at Hampton University in Virginia, Columbia University in New York, Southern University in Louisiana, Iowa State University, and Howard University in Washington, D.C. She has held positions on the board of directors of the LAAIA, I'm uncertain, as well as the CCAIA. I don't know. Are those, I'm assuming those are divisions of the American Institute of Architects, but I don't know. Oh, thanks for dropping the historical terms there. If we could drop that on the other channel too, that'd be great. USC Architectural Guild and served as vice president of the CCAIA. I'm not certain. Served many years as commissioner to the California Board of Architectural Examiners and as master juror for the NCARB, the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards, grading the design and site planning license papers. Her most recent venture is as principal in a firm headed by 3 women, Siegel Sklarek Diamond, AIA Architects, probably the largest totally woman-owned architectural practice in the United States. Had to throw it just because of the balance, family, and job statement, because it sounded very sexist. Indeed it did. Indeed it did. Okay, so this, Siegel, Sklarek, and Diamond, this document about that is about her own firm that they mentioned was a fully woman-owned firm. Ooh, got a good spread. I can zoom out. Maybe. I can log into the camera again, and then I can zoom out. Maybe. Yes. Siegel, Sklarek, and Diamond. Designing Women Are Bridging the Architectural Gender Gap by Samuel Greengard. This is from 1987, so the Designing Women title would be a very direct reference to a popular television program at the time. But yeah, it's a good picture. Margot Siegel has learned how to turn adversity into advantage and how to shatter myths. She's living proof that in the male-dominated world of architecture, where image and reputation are everything, women can overcome the biases that exist and make a name for themselves. In just 2 short years, she and partners Norma Sklarek and Catherine Diamond have managed to build their West Los Angeles office into one of the nation's largest female-owned architectural companies. They've managed to increase their portfolio to more than $35 million in current projects, and in the last year alone, doubled their net worth to $250,000. Does it say who is who? I don't see a caption of the image itself. My lacking a caption, like, we know this is Sklarek, and because everything in this presents them as Siegel, Sklarek, and Diamond, I'm assuming that is the order that they are in. You knew it had to be the 80s just based on the shoulder pads? Like, my guess, but I would have to do outside research to confirm, is that this is Siegel and that is Diamond. Um, just because that is the order that their names are always presented in. So it would be odd for them not to be in that order in the picture. Um, but there's no actual caption of the picture. Siegel's dress could be worn today and fit in any professional setting. Yeah, honestly, it could. Well, and also Sklarek, the pantsuit, that would totally work today. It doesn't even it's these shoulder pads that are dated. This, there's nothing dated about that suit. And yeah, this dress, that would work too. But we're here to talk about their designs, not their outfits. Um Although if it had been a picture of men wearing 80s fashions, we definitely also would have been talking about their fashions because we do every time. Let's see. It says a confident and enthusiastic Siegel, president of Siegel Sklarek Diamond AIA Architects, we can stack up against anybody. In competitions with as many as 40 or 60 other firms, we've been selected. The only thing that is holding us back is the amount of time we've been together. Such brashness, some might call it arrogance, has helped SSD achieve remarkable results. The firm is presently involved with several major projects, including a new $4.5 million civic center addition, for the city of Lawndale, a $1.5 million addition to the student services building at UC Irvine, a $1.8 million office complex for UCLA's Parking Services Department, and a multi-story luxury condominiums project in Pacific Palisades. To be sure, success couldn't be sweeter. As Diamond puts it, we've put together a team that is really exciting. There's a feeling that we're all pooling our efforts and building something bigger than the three of us could ever achieve individually. By no coincidence, others offer equally positive views of the three. It's quite an achievement to have three women of such stature working together, says Donald C. Axon, Regional Director for the California Council of the American Institute of Architects. I wouldn't put them at the top of the design world, but they do high quality work and put together excellent proposals. What is that quote? I wouldn't put them at the top of the design world, but they do high quality work. Really? You were being interviewed for a puff piece about these women and how amazing they are, and you said that? Optima Communities did a Women in Architecture series. Ooh, thank you for grabbing that link. But come on, that is just like seriously? Men. Exactly. Men. Ooh. Welcome in, Whimsies. Hello, 16-bit Eric. Welcome to Archival Adventures. I hope that you had a great stream. Hi everybody. I am Rogan27, aka Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, and this is my once a week stream where we explore things in the archives. Today we're focused on African American women in architecture, and it's been interesting so far. We looked at Ameza Lee Meredith, um, who was possibly in fact, actually referenced by the institution where she worked, and in the video about her projects as a an LGBTQ plus Black woman architect. Amazing, amazing to explore. That was very interesting. Now we're looking at Norma Sklarek. Yes, indeed. Thank you for the shout out for Eric. If you are here and you're not following 16-bit Eric, I highly encourage you to do so. Eric is a wonderful human who is an amazing storyteller, and is an expert in the realm of TTRPGs. And so definitely worth just popping in and hanging out and supporting Eric, who is a wonderful streamer and a wonderful person. But yeah, welcome in everybody. Hi, Obi, Pretty Witchery. Hello. And yeah, ooh, Sterling. Thanks. This website was also used to explore finding women for this stream. Cool. I am gonna drop that link over on the other channel. Um, I am working to try and get the stream merged so that all of the chat is in one place. I believe in future by using the co-host thing or whatever it's called now on Twitch, I should be able to get that to happen. I just haven't quite figured out all the logistics yet. Anyway, so we're looking at this piece here about Siegel, Sklark, and Diamond, and just came across a very sexist backhanded comment in the middle of this puff piece. Let's see. Adds Julia Thomas, chairman and partner in the Westwood firm of Bob Rowe Thomas Associates. They are well positioned to do a significant amount of work on a large scale. They should provide some strong competition for some big projects in the near future. When the three decided to form a partnership, it wasn't with the idea of creating a firm headed by women just for the sake of novelty, however. This article I'm reading right now is from 1987. We came together because we thought we had the strengths and the skills to become an excellent firm. Siegel explains, we come from diverse backgrounds and we have different approaches to the business. Indeed, Siegel 55 handles the business end. I want to know about Sklarek. Like, this is cool and all, but Diamond. Ah, okay, so yeah, Siegel, 55 years old, handles the business end of things. Diamond, 33, is the partner in charge of design. She began her career in 1976, educated in Israel, sometimes brash, always assertive Chicago native, joined the Israeli Air Force and became responsible for the design of dormitory complexes, recreational and social support services, and community centers. Before then joined Benton Park Pendrava in LA, where she was involved in design of commercial and residential structures. But it is Sklarek, the company's partner in charge of project management, who has had to overcome serious hurdles to get where she is today. As a youngster, she grew up in one of the poorer areas of Harlem. And I'm going to take the words off the screen and continue reading them and give you all some pictures of some of her work while I read. Because I can. Let's see. She grew up in one of the poorer areas of Harlem, but earned such high grades she was accepted at Columbia University, where she studied architecture and, in 1950, joined only a handful of women who had at the time managed to earn a degree in the male-dominated discipline. Later, she became the first Black woman registered as an architect in the United States, and the first woman in AIA's Los Angeles chapter to be granted a fellowship. She went to work at several firms, including Gruyan Associates in Los Angeles, where as director of architecture, she oversaw the design of the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo. Inside their sleek offices adjacent to busy Santa Monica Boulevard, the interior of which they designed themselves, the three talk openly about the realities of women working to make headway in such a masculine, if not macho, field. Clients tend to be older and more conservative, and the principals of firms are often afraid of having a woman handle a project because if the client doesn't like it, they may lose that client. Diamond insists. So at the first hint of opposition to a woman or a minority, they will quickly slam the doors shut and run the other way. Oh, 1987. Strong talk, but behind these bitter complaints is, in fact, a long and documented history of women taking a back seat in the profession. According to the American Institute of Architects, women still account for only 7.1% of the organization's membership. I don't know what the numbers would look like today. These numbers are, again, from 1987. 1.3% are Hispanic, and less than 1.6% are Black. And while today, according to Sklarek, about 30% of all architectural students are women, compared to about 2% when she and Siegel went to school in the 1950s, the problems these young professionals face after graduation haven't changed much. Cool. Cool. Design committee. Well, let's look and see what we've got of some of their stuff. I'm not going to read the entire article, but that was from the California Executive, November 1987, by Samuel Greengard. San Bernardino City Hall. Client, City of San Bernardino. Description: a 6-story city hall and office building of 104,000 square feet with exterior wall skin of glass. Separate 5-story parking structure for 1,600 cars, a total of 556,600 square feet. Plaza and extensive landscaping. Selected as one of the nation's outstanding city halls by the Library of Congress and the American Institute of Architects. Completion 1971. The building cost $5 million and the parking structure $3,500,000. This was Norma Sklarek when she was at Grian Associates, who was the architect for this. We've got some images, unlabeled but exterior. Of the City Hall of San Bernardino. I don't know if anybody is familiar with San Bernardino. Is this still the City Hall? I would imagine it probably is, but big, tall building here. Architect of record, Grian Associates, designer Rudy Baumfeld, Fox Plaza. Fox Plaza, let's see. Santa Anita Fashion Park. Looks like a mall. We've got a bank, Security Pacific. Let's see, what do we have? According to a wiki article in 2009, the United States National Architectural Accrediting Board reported that 41% of architecture graduates were women, with this number rising to 51% of graduates by 2021. The AIA National Associates Committee report from 2004 gives the percentage of licensed female architects as 20%. In 2003, an AIA Women in Architecture study found that women accounted for 27% of staff in U.S. architecture firms. The honorific FAIA was held by 174 women and 2,199 men, or roughly 8% in 2005. The AIA reports that the percentage of women as a total of their organization's architect members increased from 15.7% to 24.1% between 2012 and 2021. So still, very heavily male-dominated industry. This building, California Mart in Los Angeles, California. Another of Sklarek's buildings. 2.5 million square foot international merchandising complex is the largest fashion center in the world, or at least was whenever this was written. Its 2,000 showrooms display men's, women's, and children's wearing apparel, together with linens and domestics, textiles, notions, jewelry, and shoes. Approximately 7,000 buyers have toured the building in a single day. Over 8,000 lines are represented in the building. The building has a working population of approximately 100,000 people. It is estimated that over $2 billion worth of merchandise is sold annually at California Mart. Four 14-story towers on a full city block, architecturally interconnected and linked at ground level by a 10,600 square foot interior court covered by a massive dome of of stained glass. Mirrors at both ends of the court reflect the 32-foot high skylight and create a sense of openness for fashion shows and other events. Interesting. There's the Fox Hills Mall. More of the Fox Hills Mall. The mall and the parking structure, apparently both designed. Let's see what else we got. We have the Puente Hills Mall. Wait, wearing apparel seems redundant. Puente Hills Mall, anchored by 4 department stores, contains 1.3 million square feet and 150 specialty shops in its 2 levels. Courts and malls are irregularly shaped, creating attractive changes of space and permitting flexible tenant layout areas. We get the South Coast Plaza. I'm not spending tons of time because I don't have much other than an image. The Bank of California. I mean, there's a definite style to this stuff. Skyscraper building. It doesn't. Without context, it's just a building. This we got color images. This is from Siegel Sclaric Diamond. Multi-purpose building, Commonwealth Avenue Elementary School. Big, bold colors, emphasizing squares and shapes, the little clock on it. I could see why that would be choices made for an elementary school. This appears to be parking. I don't know. It's unlabeled. But that's possibly the exterior of the next one, which is LAX, I think. In the bio, it definitely said, is it Dulles Airport? No, I think it's LAX, Consilience. It's definitely Los Angeles. I believe it is Los Angeles International. And it is the terminals where you go to leave. Elementary school is what we might now call kidcore. Oh dear. Ooh, we have another elementary school. It does look a bit like Dulles. This is LA Unified School District Jefferson New Elementary School number 1. Lovely architectural drawing. So this is the work that the firm of Siegel, Sclaric, and Diamond was putting out. We have Slauson Station. This would be a subway / light rail station. We encounter them every day, but we don't think about the fact that somebody designed stations. And they designed them for functionality, but also aesthetic. And so looking at this, it's like, oh yeah, that looks like a subway station. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, somebody had to design a subway station. We have a picture of a library next. Operation Second Chance School of Opportunity Community Training Facilities, Dorothy Ingram Branch Library. Um, that's all I know. Let's see what else we got. Civic Center, Westwood Plaza. Floor plans. Ooh, that one will be interesting to look at. Just briefly. We'll see what else we got. And then, of course, we have a third person to look at, too. So I think we're doing good on time. Um, the Lawndale Civic Center. We've had this a couple times where, in looking at architecture collections, they designed entire, like, neighborhoods. Um, so this is the Lawndale Civic Center, which is it's more than just the building. It's the grounds around the building. It's the, like, the overall, this whole thing is the design. I do wonder sometimes, like, when we look at these, this is from 87. Was it ever built? Is it still there? I don't know. Um, New classroom addition at LeConte Intermediate School, LA Unified School District. See, I've spent very little time in LA. I do not know. And I definitely wasn't looking at schools when I was in LA. Well, okay, that's not true. I was at UCLA for a conference. So technically I was looking at a school, but I wasn't looking at elementary and intermediate schools. Love the prevalence of the clocks. I mean, the clocks are useful and architectural. Although the giant clock in London that everybody recognizes, the clock is named Big Ben. The tower is not. I will leave you to look that up on your own. Um, anyway, this was interesting. Um, so there is a little magazine article. Is this? Oh, it's got a picture of her. It's a photocopy of a magazine article. So it's but back then people didn't have phones to check the time. Exactly. Having clocks on the wall is so useful. Photographs and interviews by Brian Lanker. Forward by Maya Angelou. What? Oh, this is from I Dream a World: Portraits of Black Women Who Changed America. That is a book. This is not the book, but I'll read a very brief bit of it. Norma Merrick Sklarek, born April 15, 1928 in New York City, New York. I had never seen a T-square or a triangle before I entered the School of Architecture at Columbia University. I found throughout my experiences that if something is very tough initially, after I work at it, I not only catch up, but move on ahead. I always knew that I was going to have a profession in order to, uh, uh, that I was going to have a profession in order to work, that nobody was going to be taking care of me. All of my contemporaries, black girls, knew that they were going to have to work and that they would work for their entire lifetime. I graduated from school in 1950. Until the end of World War II, I think there was a strong discrimination against women in architecture. The schools had a quota. It was obvious, a quota against women and a quota against black people. In architecture, I had absolutely no role model. I'm happy today to be a role model for others that follow. Even after graduation from school, it was tough for women to get a job. I went to about 20 different offices before I was able to get a job. And there were things that I didn't like when I first started working, like not being able to get meaningful assignments. There's a difference between 10 years of experience and 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. Oh boy, is there. The time is now 4:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is your 10-minute warning. It's standard time, but gotcha. uh, Even though we never end on time. Yeah, we never end on time. Um, it's so hard to know whether to put the S or the T in the freaking time thing. Um, After World War II, uh, building increased exponentially, and and they started building offices. They were hiring more women and people from other countries. I got a job in 1955 with one of the largest and most prestigious architectural firms in the United States, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. I did all of the complicated detailing on major projects. I was at Grew & Associates for 20 years, about 17 of those as head of the architectural department. I was the first woman vice president at Welton Beckett, and I got the assignment of LAX Terminal 1. I was keenly aware from the time I first started that I was highly visible in an office where there are 100 people and nearly all of them are white males, and that I'm black and female. I stand out. When I first moved to California, I didn't have a car immediately, and a coworker who lived nearby offered to drive me to work. He was late every morning. It only took about 1 week for the boss to inform me what the office hours were, because every day we were 15 to 20 minutes late. He hadn't noticed that this joker I was riding with had been late for 2 years. If you're late 10 minutes or so, it's going to be noticed. But if you produce more work and you're early, that's also noticed. In order to call yourself an architect, one should be licensed in one of the states. There are very few black women still that are licensed. I became licensed in California in 1962, and it wasn't until about 20 years later that the second black woman became licensed. I don't think there are more than 12 in the entire United States at this time. Siegel Sklarek Diamond is unique in that we are probably the largest totally woman-owned architectural firm in the United States. Most of the employees are young women, and the reason is that they feel more comfortable with us. They apply in far greater numbers. They know that they have not been given a fair break in other offices where guys with lesser qualifications were given more challenging assignments. I was the first woman, and still the only one, in the 90-year history of the Los Angeles chapter to receive fellowship with the AIA. At the time, I worked for a large firm, and even though I had that kind of honor and recognition, I still was not a partner at that firm. I only have one lifetime, and I would like to see more progress in my lifetime. Many of the younger generation think of the more serious problems in civil rights as being 100 years ago, not being 30 or 20 years ago. Construction and architecture have traditionally been a male bastion, and they perceive architects, not only architects, but those in power in any field, as being males. Projects don't just come to us. Most of our projects are not in the public sector government projects. Even though there is an affirmative action policy with government work, we still have to do an enormous marketing job and spend an awful lot of money in order to get it, to prove that we're not just equal to, but better than any of the male firms. Yeah, Hannah, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just my brain thinking out loud. I realized I never restarted the music. I'm gonna do that now, but um, this is an excerpt from this book, I Dream a World, Portraits of Black Women Who Changed America, by Brian Lanker, edited by Barbara Summers, and forward by Maya Angelou. So if you want to read the rest of that is where you would find it. I do want to peek into the third one quickly before we end, because I'm excited. I knew that we would not have enough time to cover everything. Sharon Sutton. We have looked at some of this previously. We've got some art. Zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. This is piece number 1. Mountain of a Midwinter's Moon is what this one is called. And I definitely, we've glanced at Mountain of a Midwinter's Moon on stream before. I believe it was December of 2022. This is Mountain of a Winter Moon. It was during a stream about winter, and like it was that we saw. View to a Winter Sky is the one on the above my head here. So these are the 3 pieces. This is from Sharon E. Sutton, PhD, fellow, American Institute of Architects, or Architecture, AIA, whatever. I've already forgotten. We were just reading it. I've already forgotten. My apologies. But I think the Mountain of a Winter Moon is a little hard to see there, yeah? I'm going to adjust it so that you get a better view of the art by putting it on some foam blocks so that it's angled and the light hits it differently. Yeah, I think it's hard to see because it's silver and a really, really pale pinkish color. But I think it's a little easier to see at this angle than having the light hitting it the way that it was before. Professor of Architecture, Urban Design, and Planning, and Director of CEEDS, Center for Environment, Education, and Design Studies at the University of Washington. Distinguished Professor of the Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture, and served as the 97-98 President of the National Agricultural Accrediting Board, or National Architectural Accrediting Board, when she undertook a major revision of the organization's conditions, procedures, and management structure. Sutton has been an architecture educator since 1975, having held positions at Pratt Institute, Columbia University, the University of Cincinnati, and the University of Michigan, where she became the first African-American woman in the United States to be promoted to full professor in an accredited professional degree program in architecture. There is a picture of her there. Teaches community-based research studios in architecture and landscape architecture, offers advanced seminars on the ethics of professional practice, advises doctoral students, and assists teachers and prospective teachers to utilize design processes in K-12 education. Sutton's most recent book, Weaving a Tapestry of Resistance, The Places, Power, and Poetry of a Sustainable Society, is based on the 3-year evaluation of the Urban Network, a K-12 urban design program she founded while at the University of Michigan. I will note this is from December of 99. So her most recent book may still be Weaving a Tapestry of Resistance, but she may have published other things since then too. Cool. Let's see. We've got a resume. Again, from 1999. University of Seattle, or the University of Washington in Seattle. Before that, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, University of Cincinnati in Ohio, Columbia, Pratt Institute, licensed in New York as an architect as of 1976, previously licensed in Michigan, New Jersey, and Ohio. Application pending in Washington. Cool. Former member of Local 802 American Federation of Musicians. And as a musician, she was performed with the original cast of Man of La Mancha and is on the original cast album of Man of La Mancha. Solhurok attractions. Orchestras of the Bolshoi, Leningrad, and Moiseyev ballet companies. Appearances with the Royal Ballet, Fiddler on the Roof, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Radio City Music Hall, the New World Symphony, Music Makers, Phoenix Woodwind Quintet, and others. So, yeah. Sometime between 1963 and 1969, before really getting her start as an architect, she was a musician and performed with the original cast of the musical Man of La Mancha. I did not know that. And you may know about me that I enjoy musicals and the history of musicals, and so to me that one stood out. Let's see. Also, it was just unexpected. Really long CV. It's not too long. It's just 23 pages, which, if you know anything about academia, your CV grows, and it continues to grow as long as you work in academia. I'm not sure. I don't have a lot more on Sharon Sutton. We have these 3 art pieces of hers. I don't know if we ever found out much about them. Hmm? Oh, okay. I do have a finding aid. Let's see what it says. Nope, it doesn't say much. Other than what we just read. There's a bio on University of Washington. Can I just say this music is a vibe? This is all the chill lo-fi curated playlist from Pretzel Rocks. Sharon Agreda Sutton, Professor Emeritus. This is information from the University of Washington's website. Dr. Sharon Agreda Sutton, FAIA, is an activist educator and public scholar who promotes inclusivity in the cultural makeup of the city-making professions and in the populations they serve, and also advocates for participatory planning and design processes in disenfranchised communities. Over a 43-year period, Sutton has served on the faculties of Parsons School of Design, Pratt Institute, Columbia University, the University of Cincinnati, the University of Michigan, and the University of Washington. In addition to professional students in architecture, she has taught professional students in urban planning, landscape architecture, and interior design, and has supervised doctoral students in architecture, urban planning, social welfare, and education. Sutton, who previously practiced architecture in New York City, was the 12th African-American woman to be licensed to practice architecture, the first to be promoted to full professor of architecture, and the second to be elected a fellow in the American Institute of Architects. We were just looking at the first right before her. So, and the first to be president of the National Architectural Accrediting Board. She holds 5 academic degrees in music, architecture, philosophy, and psychology, and has studied graphic art internationally. Sutton's scholarship explores America's continuing struggle for racial justice and its effects on the built environment. Her funding has come from the Ford Foundation, National Endowment for the Arts, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and Hewlett Foundation, among others. Her latest book, When Ivory Towers Were Black, a story about race in America's cities and universities, portrays what was undoubtedly the nation's most audacious effort to recruit African American and Latino students to Columbia University's School of Architecture. Early in her career, Sutton worked as a professional musician in New York City, most notably for Sol Hurock Attractions and in the original cast of Man of La Mancha. Her fine art is in the Library of Congress and has been exhibited in and collected by galleries and museums, business enterprises, and colleges and universities. Sutton received the Medal of Honor from both AIA New York and AIA Seattle, and the Whitney M. Young Jr. Award from AIA National. She is a distinguished professor of the Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture and an inductee into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame. Sterling, I don't know. I may have to cordon off a specific part of stream to play it because I imagine it would get flagged and muted. But I'm not gonna say no. Yeah. So we have 3 of her pieces of art. They're all on a winter sort of theme. I think they're interesting. These are from 75, 76, and 77 in order. I don't know. I'm looking. I haven't found anything yet that does like any sort of art analysis of these specific pieces. But I think they're nice. Oh. No. Well, I lost track of time and there is an automated ad break happening. So, apology to people getting ads. Whoopsie doodle. We are gonna have to draw things to a close. I'm not surprised that we had enough to fill 2 hours. I definitely enjoyed learning about Amasa Lee Meredith. That first section that we explored was really, really interesting. I think the house was interesting. I'm curious to know more about the person. Ooh, before we go, have photos of Sutton and her dog. Photos of Sutton and her dog from 2003. Oh, it wouldn't load for me. Oh, I see. No, go back. No, come on. What happened? Ah, got it. Got it. Some silica. Where is this? Where is this photo living? Because this is not a photo that I can access. Yeah, that is a link to someplace on your computer, sadly. But it's fine. If you want to share it on the Discord, that would be great. Um, we are going to be winding down. Let me look and see, where is it that we are going to go? I'm not certain who all's on at the moment. And I want to also check and see, what is it we're looking at next week? Because I, unsurprisingly, do not remember. Oh, hang on. Wow. Thanks. All right, we've got Stephen Joyce is doing Kerbal Space Program. Got stream. Looking to see who is on. Monterey Aquarium's got the Moon Jelly Cam going. Sadly, none of the science streamers that I found are active right now, or we'd be going there. Oh, what was that? Yeah, Stephen Joyce is on, and I think that's where we'll go. I don't know what that alert was. Ooh, there we go. A link to architectural record. And aw, that's great. Let me make sure that gets into the other chat too. That's a great picture. Yeah, I think we'll pop in on Steven. It's been a couple weeks, and Steven is a joy, pun intended, to hang out with. So I think that is where we will go. Oh yeah, I was gonna double check. What are we doing next week? What is next week? Steven has tiny hat. Next week. Oh, gee, another image. Oh wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Next week we are looking at the Virginia Tech Atomic Energy Laboratories, otherwise known as the first. Wait, spec fiction next week? No. Yeah, no. Next week is Virginia Tech Atomic Energy Laboratories, which is the Virginia Tech nuclear reactor, which was the first educational reactor in North America. Yeah, we're going to be exploring that topic next week. So feel free to pop in and learn about the nuclear reactor, the nuclear accident, and the building that used to have the nuclear reactor. And, you know, it'll be interesting. There's a short little clip that is sadly not in our archives, but is in University of Virginia's archives that I'll show. As well as I might have written a big long blog post on this previously, so it's actually a topic that I am familiar with, which doesn't happen very often, but I'm sure I will find additional things that I didn't already know. So I hope that I will see some of you for the exploration of the nuclear reactor next week, and then yeah, in 2 weeks, on the last Wednesday of the month, we should have something speculative fiction. I don't know what, but we'll be looking at something from the spec fiction collection, and then the beginning of February we will dive back into the USS Dakota Engineers Journal, because that was interesting and we didn't get enough of it, and so we'll be back to that at the beginning of February. But yeah, I hope I see all of you again shortly. We're gonna pop on over to Stephen Joy's thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope that you had a good time. I hope I'll see you again. Until I do, keep exploring history, everybody.